Are we going? Yes, we are. What's up, guys? It's your boy McKinley Crain here, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler-free review of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Season 1, Episode 4. So this episode, once again, stars Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, and Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. And for those of you who don't already know, this is an action series on Disney Plus, and it's a mainline MCU show. Um, and what was I gonna say? Oh, and it's about for those of you who don't already know or just couldn't guess by the title, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Specifically, after the events of Avengers Endgame, and it's about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier having to work together to, well, I'm talking about this entire series here. So it's about, like I said, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier having to work together to bring down a new terrorist organization called the Flag Smashers, who are causing violence, like hurting people for the purpose. Well, they're hurting people for the purpose of bringing everything back the way it was during the blip. If you don't know what the blip is, I can't say what it is because that would be a spoiler. But things were apparently more peaceful during the blip than they were, before the blip and afterwards. So yeah, that's the motivations of the Flag Smashers. And so yeah, that's basically the story of the series. And yes, this episode continues that little mission, well, that big mission that Sam and Bucky are going on. And in this episode, it really digs deeper into the characters, into the character or characters of the Flag Smashers, specifically it specifically digs deeper into the personality and the motives of their leader, who is I believe a young woman or an older teen. She looks like she could be about at youngest 15, at oldest maybe 19. Yeah, so this episode really digs deep into her character and really kind of explains what her motives are. And I like that. I love that. I think that's perfect, and it really gives us an insight into why she's doing what she's doing and why the Flag Smashers are doing what they're doing. And this episode, we get a lot of action and fighting, and that's all perfect. It's I love the stunts in this episode. I love the stunts in this series. They're just all so perfect and just so well just so well done. And I love the choreography in this episode and I love the choreography in all of the episodes of this series. It's just also great. It's really enjoyable. And it's really badass. It's really, we got some badass fight scenes in there. And I really, really, really enjoy these. These episodes, they're so perfect. All of these episodes have been perfect so far, including this one. Um, this episode is, in my opinion, the best of the series so far. It's the best yet. Um, these episodes just keep getting better and better, and I love that. And back on the topic of the story, we get a lot more of, well, not necessarily a lot more, but we still get a lot of Baron Zemo in this episode. Not as much as we did in episode 3, but you know, he's still in the episode, and he's still you know, so basically he has to team up. He had to team up with Sam and Bucky in the previous episode, because he has like information and stuff that they need to know, and just basic knowledge on, like, you know, a lot of the situation and what's going on that they needed. And he's great, as always. And we also get a lot more of the new Captain America, which is John Walker, who's played by Wyatt Russell. So this isn't a spoiler anymore. You know, the new Captain America isn't a spoiler anymore, because, you know, it's literally like everybody knows about it now. It's literally like in the flipping commercials for the show. So it's not a spoiler. Everybody knows about the new Captain America now. I mean, early on it was a spoiler, but, you know, it's not a spoiler anymore. Anyway, so basically, for those of you who don't know, John Walker is like not, of course he's not actually like, you know, MCU wise, like franchise wise, the new Captain America. Story wise, like, he's not even the new Captain America story wise. You know, he's just kind of trying to be the new Captain America. So basically, what the government did is they just kind of made him the new Captain America. After Steve Rogers, let's just say, retired. Not gonna say how, because that'd be a spoiler, but let's just say retired. This John Walker is, you know, a very like prideful character. He's, you know, you can understand that, like we as the audience, like, you know, can understand. Well, more like, not the audience. We as the viewers of this show, the watchers of this show, the people who watch this show should understand that, like, you know, he has mostly good motives. Like, you know, he wants to make the world a better place. He wants to, like, you know, live up to like what Steve Rogers, like, you know, gave the world and stuff like that. But, like, you know, he's also got like a lot of his own little prideful motivations in there. And we get a lot of like you know, insight into that in this episode. Like, we see some of his new motivations, and we kind of see what all this like authority, like how all this authority like makes him think of himself. Like, we see how he kind of uses his authority in this episode. His authority. And, you know, that's some of the best parts of this episode, honestly. And I love this episode. It's perfect. You know, the acting is perfect, character chemistry is perfect, the humor in this episode is perfect. Just everything in this episode is perfect. And you know, there are some very shocking moments in this episode, shocking in a good way, of course, that benefit the story. And there are just some awesome moments in this episode. Every moment in this episode is an awesome moment. You know, the other critics like it. I love it. I agree with the other critics. You know, I love this show, and I love this episode. And I agree with the audience, too. This show is just awesome. I love this show, and I love this episode. And this is a very thrilling show. And and it can be really intense at times, and that's not the bad kind of intense. Like, you know, it's intense in a good way. And I love this show, and I love this episode. I can't wait to see what comes next. Anyway, I'm going to give this episode a 100% out of a 100%, which is the equivalent of an A+. Like, subscribe, join the notification squad. I will return.